Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1, and today I'm going to show you how to communicate in a grid down or SHTF event, caveman style. So come on in and see. In an SHT event, you're going to need to communicate, and definitely radios, family radios, GMRS, those things are awesome. Highly recommend them, but you want to keep your signature down, your radio signature down, and by using those, you're broadcasting all your information publicly. I totally recommend field phones. Field phones are a phone that's run with a wire to another field phone, and you can talk to them. There's no way to intercept them unless you physically cut the wire and add your field phone to intercept. So those are the most secure. With the situation in Russia and the situation with drones, people are using their cell phones, people are using radio communication, and people are dying because that communication is giving their position away. So field phones can't do that. So they have a lot of pluses. One of the negatives with a field phone is you have a wire. If you get artillery attacked and your wire's on the ground, it's going to get cut. Then you have to reestablish that connection. So that is a negative side, but if you bury that, it's the best way to communicate. So how are you going to communicate in your subdivision, in your small community, not wanting to push that button, field phones, but you don't have field phones, or you have just a few field phones. So you want to communicate, especially at night. People could be in a defensive position. As you can see, this is a bunker designed to protect the retreat. It gives me the ability to observe what I need to observe, and also it gives me concealment, and it gives me something to stop some bullets. So it's very, very wise to at least pre-plan where you're going to put some type of fighting position. When you build a fighting position, you're never done. Don't ever, ever, ever say, oh, I got my positions dug. It's not done. It is always improvement. Every day, spend some time improving your position. Overhead cover. Next, you might say, I'm done. Look, it's great. Add more vegetation. Vegetation is something you need to be checking daily, especially if you're using natural vegetation and you're cutting it and camouflaging. It's going to die. It's going to change color. You're going to have to keep working on that. So, as you can see, this is pretty camouflaged, especially from the air, but never done. So if you say you're done, next is building a crawl trench from this position to another position. It's simple crawl trench. Just start doing it. So that way, if you got to move under fire, at least you can crawl and you have an additional little trench. As you go along, take that trench and turn it into a crawl trench, turn it into a walking trench. It's always improving your position. Never, ever, ever be satisfied and say, oh, my defenses are good. They're not good. So, how are we going to communicate? I got a buddy 50 yards away in another position. I can't just holler and say, hey, I see the enemy, or are you awake? That's the biggest thing. This is going to give you peace of mind, because you think your buddy's sleeping over there, and if he's sleeping over there, the enemy can get you, be it military or be it in a grid down situation. These are, I call it idiot proof. They're going to work. Technology, there's no technology, but one negative about these things, I'll tell you right now, is I have a string running from this position to maybe another position. If someone is probing your lines and they penetrate deep enough into you and they find this, most people won't know what it is. Oh, it's a string. But to me, a string goes somewhere in the military. So in my mind, if this was not a string, it would be a field phone wire. So if I know it's a field phone wire, what does that tell me? To the left and to the right, there's probably a field phone, and that means there's a position. So that gives me a lot of intel just by finding their field phone wire. So that's a negative, because if they find this wire in pitch dark and they follow it to, they'll follow it right to you, or they'll follow it to your buddy. So not good, but that's something that can be, you can camouflage. I'm using orange just so you can see it, but normally this would be camouflaged so you would not be able to see it. All right, so you're in your position. It's 1 o'clock at night, and everyone's dog tired because you worked all day manning your farm and trying to grow some crops, and now you're trying to pull security, and you're worried about the guy next to you. How are we going to be able to communicate? No field phones, and you definitely aren't going to use your radio and call him up. That's a death sentence. So you can see here, you have an orange and you have a yellow. Yellow means, hey, wake up, or what's going on, just to get someone's attention. So by simply pulling on this, and I will show you later what it looks like, down there, this waves in my position. Now, if it's going to wave in your position, don't put it where the enemy can see that waving. Make sure you don't anchor this in any point on small saplings where it's going to move the sapling, move the tree, because somebody will be observing your position and all of a sudden they see these things waving, a tree waving. To a trained professional, that's a dead giveaway. There's something there. So we put ribbon on it. So if someone pulls to get my attention, I'm going to see that. Now, this is right in the way. We put this in the way so you can see it better, but normally you don't want this to infringe on your ability to fire your weapon, to observe. So every position is different. So just put it where it's not going to stop you from doing your job while you're in this position. Now, this is get your attention. Heads up. It could be at 1 o'clock. I want to make sure my buddy's awake. So I pull it and I wait till he responds. And then I'm good. I'm relaxed. All right. If my buddy sees the enemy, he clearly sees the enemy in front of him. He is the only one that's going to send this message. Now, if he's got positions on the left and right of him, he's going to pull to cover the guys on the left. He's going to pull to cover the guys on the right. So, if I get this message with both going like this, that means I know for sure that that position sees the enemy. Now, when I get that message that my buddy over there sees the enemy because he gives me this, I'm going to send it down the line to the next position, but I'm only going to do this. So that man or woman in that other position will see this. He will know the enemy has been spotted on the wire somewhere on the perimeter. So this will give you the ability to sort of send a more in-depth message where you think the enemy is. So let's show you how you put this together. Let's go out here and show you. As we're walking on this trail out of this position, it's leaves. What you would normally want to do if you're coming in and out of this position a lot, make you about 12, 14, 15, 16 inches of clear dirt. Now granted, if someone sees that dirt, they'll know it's a trail. But if they're already in this perimeter and they see this trail, this is my secure perimeter. If this is an LPOP, a listening post, observation post, I'm definitely not going to clear this up. But I want this clear, so if reinforcements have to come from there to reinforce this position, because you're not going to have every person on the line, on your perimeter. You're going to have a reserve element, so if your position is getting hit from this side, to say the south side, your reserve people can come reinforce that position. And they want to be able to slowly, quietly get into position and not have all this crunching and cracking. You also might, in the short distances, that's where you continue building, and you have a crawl trench here. So they can quickly crawl in, because if this position is getting fired on, there's rounds impacting this area. I want whoever's coming to help me low and with some ballistic protection from the earth. So let's look at it right here. You can use PVC pipe, you can use hose, you can use a lot of things. This just keeps this from getting snagged. It moves freely inside the pipe. Now, you would not use this color, and you would not use this. This would be camouflage. This could be smaller. Let's go down here on the other end. This will simulate another position. So, as you're in that position, what does that mean? That means heads up, what's up? Are you sleeping? What's this mean? You should be answering that in your head. That means enemy is somewhere spotted on the line. If this comes into your position, you know that means that guy next to me has physically seen the enemy. Now, hanging these, you don't need to hang these. Say you're in the field, you could definitely just use the end of the string, so you don't have to carry this. I like this inside the position because that will definitely get your attention. As you can see, it's blowing out here. Hopefully in your position it doesn't blow. That's why when you mean to pull it, don't just go a little bit like that. Make sure that elastic is moving. Now let's talk about components of what you're going to need. Now you can improvise this. First of all, you can use some type of ribbon. You don't have to. You can literally use a piece of string. You could use a rag. You can use whatever. Now the bungee cord, you definitely need bungee. These are very cheap. I think these are the best solutions. You can see we clearly have a bungee cord on there, but I don't like the bungee cord unless you definitely squeeze this shut, but it would work. Or if you just had this type of material, you could use that. This works with many improvised ways, but I think the best thing to have in your pack is some of those elastic. You do not have to have the ball on there. The ball is nice though because you can wrap it around. Next, I talked about the PVC. You can use PVC. You don't have to put 2 holes. You can put 1 hole, and if you screw it tight enough, it won't rotate. I don't want it to rotate. Let's say you're out and about with 3 or 4 guys and you're going to set up at night. This is a must for your kit. Now, this should be camouflage. If everyone carried a couple of these and you had a roll of twine, something camouflaged or dark color, that is what you're going to need. I'll put a couple links to what I like, but this is something that's cheap. This is something you can improvise, and this is a needed thing. This is a huge combat multiplier. So, think about your property. Think how you can communicate. This will be able to communicate a danger or to make sure your buddy's not sleeping. Thanks for watching.